Necessary.
I used to get gas.
Good evening. I'd like to bring to order the Tiverton Town Council meeting of December 13th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Councilor Cook.
Here.
Councilor Janick. Present. Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Councilor deMedeiros.
Present.
Councilor Burk.
Present.
Councilor Vieira.
Present.
Councilor Perry is absent.
The first item is one of my favorites, and we haven't done this in a couple of years because of COVID, and I'm glad we're bringing it back. The Town Council formal acknowledgement of promotions and administrative of oath for Lieutenant Robert Gagnon, promoted to captain, and Firefighter Jonathan Wicks, promoted to lieutenant. At this time, I'd like to call the chief up.
Good evening, everybody. Madam President, council members, thank you for this opportunity to recognize some of our members here tonight. We're here to promote two of our members of the department. But before we get into that, I'd like to recognize a few members that were promoted to in rank during the past almost 2 years. Due to COVID, they were not properly recognized for the promotion, so I'd like to do that at this time. Unfortunately, some of these members were not able to be here tonight, but first off, Captain Pete Manchester was promoted. Lieutenant Pete Manchester was promoted to captain in August of 2019 by the previous Chief Marlowe. Captain Manchester has been in charge of D Group since his promotion and has done a fantastic job filling that role. He is also charged with overseeing the department's equipment as far as ordering and maintenance, and has also done a fantastic job with that. He was to be recognized at a ceremony that was scheduled in early 2020, but unfortunately, due to COVID, that ceremony had to be canceled. Also back in February of 2020, there were 3 firefighters that were promoted to the rank of lieutenant. These firefighters studied hard for the lieutenant's exam, met all qualifications, and did well on the oral interviews that were conducted by officers from neighboring fire departments. They have stepped up and filled the role of lieutenant with hard work and professionalism, and I'd like to thank them for that. These individuals are Lieutenant Chris Wells, Lieutenant Barry Morse, and Lieutenant James Vaughn. On October 5th, 2020, there were 2 more promotions, one for the rank of lieutenant and one to the rank of captain. Firefighter Mike Ladiso, who is here tonight, like I just mentioned, like the 3 I just mentioned, met all the qualifications, studied hard for the lieutenant exam, and did well on the oral interview conducted by officers from neighboring departments. Lieutenant Ladiso has stepped up into the role of lieutenant also with the hard work and professionalism that I would expect, and I'd like to thank him for that. Also on October 5th, Lieutenant Josh Ferrero was promoted to the rank of captain. Captain Ferrero worked hard throughout the promotional process to achieve the top spot on the list. Captain Ferrero took over command of A Group, where he is the OIC for that group on a daily basis and does a fantastic job. Captain Ferrero is also the department's EMS coordinator, where he's charged with overseeing the department's emergency medical services. He makes sure the department is in compliance with all state and federal mandates pertaining to our rescues and personnel. He's also charged with ordering the equipment and supplies for the rescues and keeping them stocked. One more thing he does a fantastic job with, and I'd like to thank him for that. So tonight we are here not only to recognize these officers that were promoted, but also to promote two more members of the department. These members have worked hard, showing that they have the character and attitudes to be officers, and in every way excelled in their duties as Tiverton firefighters. They both continually step up in their duties to go above and beyond to make the Tiverton Fire Department succeed, and for that I would like to thank them. First is Firefighter John Wicks. John has been with the department for a combined 10 years, first being hired in 2010. In 2012, John took and excelled in the paramedic course and received his license in 2013. He's been caring for the residents of Tiverton with excellent advanced life support care ever since. He is also an excellent firefighter. I'm sure John will fill the role of lieutenant with as much enthusiasm and professionalism as he did as being a firefighter. And last, certainly not least, Lieutenant Robert Gagnon. Lieutenant Gagnon is being promoted to the rank of captain. Lieutenant Gagnon joined the department as a volunteer in 1990. He was hired as a full-time firefighter in 1995. Lieutenant Gagnon received his cardiac license shortly after and has also been delivering advanced life support care to the residents of Tiverton ever since. Lieutenant Gagnon is also an excellent firefighter and has proven himself as an excellent fire officer. Lieutenant Gagnon has been charged with fleet maintenance and has done an outstanding job with that very difficult task. For those of you that don't know, Lieutenant Gagnon, a few years back, took the lead in restoring an aging fire engine to bring it back to life, and that's what we in the department used as our reserve engine for a few years. And I will say that that was the best engine that Tiverton has ever had, for sure. So with that being said, I'd like to congratulate both Lieutenant Wicks and Captain Gagnon on their promotions and wish them the best in their new roles.
Bob? Oh, you want to, yeah. And your wife, please? Come on up. So, Robert, repeat after me. I, Robert Gagnon,
I, Robert Gagnon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, enforce, and abide the Constitution and laws of the United States of America. I went too far. That I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
and abide the Constitution
by the Constitution
and laws of the United States of America.
and laws of the United States of America
That was a test, you know. And of the state of Rhode Island.
and of the state of Rhode Island,
That I will,
that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
observe the provisions of the Charter
of the provisions of the Charter
and ordinance of the town of Tiverton,
and ordinance of the town of Tiverton,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of captain
and will faithfully discharge the duties of captain
in the fire department
in the fire department
for the town of Tiverton.
for the town of Tiverton.
Congratulations. I want to give you a hug. Thank you. Jonathan, is this all your family? Who are all these kids? I thought they were with you. Oh, all right. You can come up. Come on up. You can come see Daddy. I, Jonathan Wicks,
I, Jonathan Wicks,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
enforce, and abide
enforce, and abide
by the Constitution
by the Constitution
and the laws of the United States of America
and the laws of the United States of America
and of the state of Rhode
and
Island.
of the state of Rhode Island,
That I will in all respects observe the provision of the Charter
that I will in all respects observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinance of the town of Tiverton,
and the ordinance of the town of Tiverton,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of lieutenant
and will faithfully discharge the duties of lieutenant
in the fire department
in the fire department
for the town of
for
Tiverton.
the town of Tiverton.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. We're going to take just a 5-minute recess so we can congratulate all the men.
Can I do a picture of them?
another fun thing. Tiverton, yeah, it's two fun things. Tiverton Power LLC, presentation of civic contribution. I'd like to welcome Ryan McNamara. Did I say that right?
It's Mick Murray.
Oh, all right, sorry.
I'm an Irishman in Rhode Island.
Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks.
He's bringing money.
Just a couple of quick words. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. My name's Ryan McMurray. I'm the general manager at Tiverton Power. So on behalf of Tiverton Power, we're grateful and happy to present this check for $100,000 to the council and the town of Tiverton. We're pleased to partner with the town. We're grateful for the fire department and the police department. And, the only thing that would have been better was if I had a 4-foot jumbo check to present.
cash.
Get that another time. But
That's plenty good.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Who would like to take this check?
Where's the treasurer? We need.
And what we're hoping to do with this is improve different areas in town with this money. And of course, we will put a plaque that this is sponsored by the Tiverton Power Plant. But I'd like to thank you very, very much. It's well appreciated. And we will use this, so thank you.
Great place to work, great town to work in. Thank you.
Thank you. I should give this to someone later, but
I'll take it.
If you disappear, I will be.
yeah, you wonder where I am.
You're going to do anything for me.
All right, so approval of the consent agenda, approval of town council minutes, November 8th, 2021, regular session, November 8th, 2021, executive session, November 22nd, 2021, regular session, Councilor Vieira absent, abstains. Acknowledge receipts of minutes from boards, commissions, and committees. The Cemetery Commission 1, Open Space 1. Acknowledge receipts of reports, Town Administrator, Department monthly reports, November 2021. Police and Fire Department overtime reports, November 2021. Acknowledge of receipt and correspondence from the Town of North Smithfield. Resolution change to Rhode Island General Law 16-7-40 C and D, increased school housing ratio. Approval of tax assessor abatement of $6,040.27. Councilor deMedeiros, approval of Bay Street moratorium extension to June 30th, 2022. Approval of Town Council 2022 meeting calendar, and approval of license renewal, non-advertised, December 1st, 2021 to November 30th, 2022. Holiday license renewal for the Twin River, Tiverton LLC, DBA Bally's Casino and Hotel, 777 Casino Boulevard. Would anyone like to pull anything off the consent agenda?
I would,
Go ahead, Donna.
okay, I would like to pull on 11-8, A1, on the 4A1.
Okay, 4A1?
I think I got that right.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay. That's it?
yep.
Any other counselor?
Yeah, brother, what is it?
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda with the exception of 4A1.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor? Unanimous. 4A1, Donna.
All right, I also forgot to ask for 4B1, I'm sorry. Cemetery Commission?
So what do I do, Mike? We just approve that.
We can still discuss it.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Donna, 4A1.
It's approved, but we can still discuss it.
Yeah, I just want to bring to the attention about the memorandum department monthly report from the town administrator. Once again, we don't have any report from the harbor master, which if there's nothing going on, basically you could say nothing going on, nothing to report, but since we asked that to happen, it hasn't happened, like it's 3
But
months now.
that's not part of the consent. That's not what we're talking about right now. correct?
Yeah, it's.
Oh, it's on the regular session.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just
Gotcha.
part of the monthly report, which we had asked for it to be in. Just to bring it to your attention, I was just hoping at some point we could have that I know there's nothing to report right now, but next is the Cemetery Commission. And if you look on the first page, D, Chairman's Report, they're discussing that an Augustine deed search could not find actual price paid for costs from a time when Mr. Augustine wants to give back some plots. So they came up with $1,600 for 8 plots of graves. And I'm just wondering what the accounting, I'm concerned about the accounting because it seems like they couldn't find any information as to what he paid, as to what he was due. If they did take the grave sites, he wanted to give them back. I don't. So
Where are you, Donna? I'm sorry.
Okay, I have.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, it's down the bottom,
I got
number
it.
2, Chairman's Report. So I was a little concerned, I was like concerned with accounting of the sale of plots. What kind of system is in place to be accountable to the history of the sale, and who keeps the records?
Okay. Does anyone have that answer? I believe it's the Cemetery Commission, right?
It is.
It is the Cemetery Commission, and they do keep their documentation in the vault. And we do handle their deeds. We generate the deeds and sign them and provide them to the purchaser. In this case, I don't remember us being asked to look this one up, but
Well, it's 8 plots, so they must have decided what 8 plots.
It's actually been going on for a while, but now it looks like they want to pay some money out. I was just wondering, when they pay-
What's been going on for a while? This
this
particular one?
This gentleman wanting to give his grave sites back, and then trying to figure out what to give him back for what he paid, and there doesn't seem to be a good record of it.
Well, it looks like they decided it was $200 a plot. Right?
But they said they couldn't find actual price paid, except some other costs at the time frame. So I was just wondering what kind of accounting's going on.
Well, it depends on when he bought this. He might have bought this.
Yeah,
right,
but still.
The cost of the plots are determined by the town council upon recommendation of the Cemetery Commission. So if they found other plots that were sold at the same time, then you can assume that if this was bought at that time, it would have the same price as the other information that they found.
Right, oh, all right.
He probably bought it a long time ago, I bet
It
you.
must have been at $200 a plot.
Right, and it was
Right.
$200 a plot.
I think
at
it's
that.
$500 right now.
It's-
so.
Yeah.
Well,
So Donna, the charter says, section 1006 says the fee schedule for grave plots shall be set by the town council upon recommendation of the commission and revised periodically. The town treasurer shall maintain control and custody of commission funds, which shall be expended by or under the direction of the commission with the approval of the town council.
so did the treasurer have anything in accounting that said how much he paid for it? It looks like they had to look other places for it.
Wouldn't it be,
Yeah, I don't know that, Donna. We can certainly ask, Councilwoman, sorry. But it looks like, if Joan is correct, the plot fee is set by the council, and so they're looking. for
Oh,
other-
that's not my question. My question is that they couldn't find actual price paid.
I mean, I don't know how long ago, say these were, what, 70 years ago?
Yeah,
I mean, that
that
would be a
could
very
be what,
difficult record.
Yeah, but
long
still, it
ago.
should hold up. If you have your accounting practices correct, you should be able to go back and see how much someone paid for something. It shouldn't get lost.
well,
Well,
it
our
apparently,
clerk had
It shouldn't
said
get
that-
lost.
The clerk has said she doesn't recall being asked to look this up, but I bet you, since we've had this discussion, she might.
but I'll tell you what, probably what they did was, the year that he bought it, they found out what the plots cost at that time, and that's how he was reimbursed.
I don't know, I'm not buying this explanation. I just think there
So
should
what
be...
do you want us to do?
I really think that if there's anything going on like this, the deed search and the price should be right there. You shouldn't have to be searching all over the place, or what the actual price was. It should be right there.
Right where?
I'm just,
where?
But not
this
right
is-
where? I'm not sure where.
either
where
with the
it is.
treasurer, or there should be some place to look that,
I don't disagree with you. I just hear that we don't have enough information to determine whether or not we have the information. It may not have been asked of the right person. So I think Joan is probably going to go back and try to find more information on it. And Denise probably will too, Denise Surratt.
It's probably not computerized, I'm going to guess.
Well,
Definitely not.
Have you been
No, but-
down in those vaults with those big books with the handwriting from the
no,
1800s?
I get all that, but you should definitely know what's going on with the cemetery and how much someone paid for it. It shouldn't matter if it's 100 years from
All
now.
right, so did he have a bill of
Just-
sale?
Well, I don't know.
Because it's also the responsibility of the customer to say, look, I paid $1,600 and that's what you owe me. So if he didn't
SM,
present
who's
that bill of
SM?
sales, that would have been much
Oh,
easier.
it's saying Shirley Moeller
No, because
reviewed.
I have a receipt for what I bought at the cemetery, to tell you the truth.
And he may have,
It's, well, it
he
it
may
said,
be getting underpaid. It may be of $300. We don't know.
well, that's a problem too, because the person should get the actual money back if you're going to accept, but SM, she's Shirley Moeller, reviewed findings of the Augustine deed search, could not find actual price paid. I'm just saying maybe there's
So there might
some.
have been,
I
way
don't know.
back then, they didn't put the price on it, maybe.
Well, once again, that's not acceptable, but
Well, I know,
okay.
but there's nothing we can do about something that was done years ago.
So how do you fix it so it doesn't happen again,
It may have been an anomaly.
70 years from
It
now?
may have been an anomaly.
I think the clerk needs to answer that because she wants to.
Councilor Cook, it
Yes,
certainly is computerized now.
yeah, I know
And they
that.
keep track of it now. So, and the procedures that they have been in place for quite a long time. So I'm sure if it's a recent burial plot that wants to be returned, they have that information, but this is in section 9,000, and that goes back many years. So I'm certain that the Cemetery Commission would have put forth all efforts that they have for documentation that they have and the documentation that's available. But if they could not find it, then they have to make some assumptions. The person buying the plot doesn't get the deed to the plot or what is now burial rights document certificate until they are paid, until the town is paid. So you have to assume that we were paid for the plot, and he's trying to return the plot.
Okay.
I think the long and the short of it is now we're computerized, we have better bookkeeping of it, and it hopefully would never happen again. Unless it's a plot that was bought many, many years ago.
Madam Clerk, how far back do your computer records go, roughly?
I
20
couldn't tell you.
years? Okay.
I couldn't tell you
Okay.
right now. They
Okay.
have a spreadsheet, and I know that it's gone from different software, like
Yeah, like
to
everything else.
to a
updates on
current
software.
Excel spreadsheet right now.
Okay.
And they have as much information as they can in there,
Mm-hmm.
and we have copies of as much as we have in the vault. And if it was misfiled and they couldn't find it, then, but certainly we can take a look at it and see if we can find it for the Cemetery Commission.
Thank you.
Apparently, they've already reimbursed him, so it sounds like. So,
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
He agreed to the price. He agreed to the sale.
yeah, he agreed to the price. Okay, do we have any public comments tonight?
Do we need to vote?
Oh, yeah, we have to vote. Yeah, we have to vote to approve 4A1 and 4B.
Well, they
You
want-
already did.
they want-
4B was already approved, we're just doing 4A1.
4A1. Motion to approve item 4A1?
Second.
No. Oh, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Yes, I screwed up.
It's motion and second.
Second, all those in favor? Okay. Is there any public comments, Joan? Okay. Public hearing advertised, approval of proposed amendment to Tiverton Code of Ordinance, Chapter 14, Boats and Waterways, Section 14-62, Composition, Primary Duty, and 14-63, Representative of Area Interest, amendments to modified language regarding the Tiverton Harbor and Coastal Waters Management Commission to be consistent with the Tiverton Home Rule Charter. And this is where we took out a town councilor. Am I correct?
Yes. And put the planning board member in.
Right. Well, it was always in, so we left it in there.
We made the charter, we made this ordinance consistent with the requirement of the
Right.
charter. That was the purpose of this.
Right. Any comments from the council? I'd like to open the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the proposed amendments to the Tiverton Code of Ordinances, Chapter 14, Boats and Waterways, Section 14-62, Composition, Primary Duty, and 1463, Representation of Area Interests, as modified to match the charter.
I'll second.
No, Deb.
Motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Appointments and resignations. Harbor Master annual term expiring 12/31/2022. Tyler Loomis, 89 John Dugan Road, requests annual reappointment with Harbor and Coastal Waste Waters Management Commission and recommendation. I'll read the recommendation. Dear Minister Carter, the commission voted on December 6, 2021 to recommend the continued employment of Tyler Loomis as Harbor Master. 2 new members, being members for only 2 months, abstained, and the 3rd new member recused himself due to a pending appeal. 1 member recovering from eye surgery was not present. The remaining members voted enthusiastically in favor. Tyler holds CPR, AED, and first aid certifications. Over the past year, he has continued to fill the role of Harbor Master quite well. He has conducted himself very professionally at recent meetings where members of the public became adversarial regarding issues arising out of the various agriculture applications. Anytime he has been called upon to provide information regarding sites under consideration, he has been very responsive to commission members' questions. In addition, he continues to do a great job maintaining the Harbor Master boat, getting it back in ship shape after the repowering, most recently obtaining a new trailer to greater facilitate hauling and storage. His continued appointment has provided long-term relationship, bringing stability to the position. Kindest regards, Bruce H. Cox, Chair. Administrator Carter?
So I also recommend Tyler is to be reappointed. I think he's done a phenomenal job for the limited amount of hours his hour that's attached to this. He puts in an exorbitant amount of hours, and that he's here every weekend pretty much that I'm here. He's all summer long. He's dealing with the variety of issues as it relates to boating safety, and there are approximately, I think, 390 moorings, somewhere in there. And I know that there are a couple of issues that have been of recent, even my own email that was subject of a meeting with the Harbor Commission had a few inaccuracies to it. But at the end of the day, there are regulatory matters that Mr. Loomis is trying to adhere to with CRMC, and he has sought legal advice to do that with the town solicitor. I think he's doing everything he can to make sure that he's doing what's right by the Tiverton taxpayers. So I would highly recommend that you move approval of it.
I'd like to also say that I've seen Tyler grow into this position. When I guess I was first on the council when I met Tyler. He was 16, and he was assisting the harbor master and doing a lot of the work just as a volunteer. When the harbor master left, it was a recommendation by everyone that Tyler takes the position, and we did it. Tyler was young, learning the job, and I think he's made us all very proud, and he's done a really great job.
And I'd also like to say that I think he's expanded the job too, and he's done a lot more than the previous harbor master had done. So he's grown into it and expanded that role.
Any other councilor?
Question.
Yes.
I'm related to this topic, but not Tyler, so if I'm out of order, please tell me. In the charter, this is not a department, correct? Is that how you?
Correct.
Okay. So he's not a department head?
Correct.
Okay, which is probably why he's not included in some of the reporting.
That's
Okay.
correct.
He's a stipend employee.
He's a stipend employee, and I wanted to point that out, that at $6,000 a year, we're getting a hell of a bargain.
Anyone else?
I'll just make the comment that he's had a rough year this year because of things that have been going on. And people might say he's delaying making decisions, but I think he's taken the appropriate course to make sure he gets it right and doesn't have to go back and change things, which is also going to be very controversial. So I think he's taken the right approach, and I support that.
Anyone else? I'd like to entertain a motion at this time.
I move that we reappoint or continue the appointment of Tyler Loomis as the harbor master for the period January 1st through December 31st, 2022.
Second.
Bill tried to make the motion, Deb, and he tried to second it, so I'm going to give him the second. All right. You went out this time. So motion's been made and second to appoint Tyler as our harbor master. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Against? Abstain? Six approved, 1 abstention. Congratulations, Tyler. Why you
Thank you,
want this
Tyler.
job for $6,000 is beyond me, but I'm glad you do.
I've never met you. Congratulations, Tyler. I don't spend time on the water, so thank you for your good work.
Okay. Gary Plunkett, Open Space Commission, request to schedule public workshop regarding development of a master plan for future improvements to Fort Barton. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, and good evening.
Good evening.
This has actually been going on for about 3 years. It got cut off like so many other things, the COVID. But we, over the years, Fort Barton it was first opened in August 1970, so it's over 50 years old now. And it's starting to show its age, and there are various issues we've had recently: access to the fort, protection of the historic redoubt, damage, and we did rebuild the observation tower about 15 years ago, and it's holding up pretty well. That's a long-term maintenance issue and so on. So anyway, we discussed those various things over and over again, and we finally just said, hey, we ought to do a master plan and get this done right and get some professional assistance. So we used some grant monies to get that started. We got the existing conditions report done, which is the document that I think you have access to. That was included in the whole document wasn't included in the backup, but a link. Did that get posted? Yeah. Okay. It's on the website. So we're at the point now where even though we think we know what needs to be done and so on, we owe the public the right to comment, and we may learn that we don't know the best thing. So we'd like to schedule a public workshop to advertise and receive public input before we go forward and restart the project.
Yeah, like in January, I presume?
It's not hugely important. We've been waiting forever, but yeah, whenever a good time to do that. Probably December might.
Yeah.
Not be the best. So January would probably be fine.
Okay. I don't have to take a vote on this. Is that okay with the council that we do this? So we'll play around with some dates and send you some dates.
Fine.
I
Okay.
assume you'd like the council to be present also.
Of course, anybody that wants to can.
Would this be
It's
a
a public-
workshop or a public hearing?
If it's a committee of the council, you want the council to be there formally, or do you just want them to be observers, kind of?
Observers.
Yeah, so there would be their meeting, and you would just be
Fine,
attendees.
yeah. No, they're public too.
So Gary, why don't you send Chris a date? Talk with your members. Is it going to be your members that are going to conduct this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
No, we'll
talk-
we'll lead the whole thing. I mean,
Okay.
do all the work.
So talk with your members and send Joan or Chris a date, and then we'll publicize it, and all of us will be there if we can.
Okay.
To listen.
All right, I'll work it out with Joan and our own committee.
All right?
All right.
And I think it's a great plan, a
Good.
great project.
All right,
so.
thank you.
Yeah, it gets a lot of use.
Thank you.
And I was there when you dedicated the sign, and that was really,
Yeah.
yeah, that was really,
If the council is looking for the report, it is on the open space
It's on open space.
page.
okay.
Nice report.
Very good report.
Renee Jones, Economic Development Commission, review information regarding submission to Rhode Island Commerce on grant for Tiverton Business Park Facility Study. And I understand the grant's already been submitted.
The grant has already been submitted December 7th.
And I had a little bit of a concern because of the recent negotiations we're doing with that property. But Chris has made it clear that the people for the grant know that there might be a possibility that it may be
Right.
sold.
We didn't go ahead with the grant until we had heard that. So that was clearly the first step.
So we promised we would not, if it gets approved, that we would not utilize it until we get somewhere down the road with what is currently being proposed to the town council.
Yeah, because my concern, in recent history, other organizations have gone for a grant that we did not know about, but we did kind of have an idea about this.
Yes.
And our attorney had told us, be very careful when you're submitting a grant, because once you turn down a grant from that agency, you may never get that grant again.
Okay.
Another grant, because they've offered it to you and you said no. But Chris has made it clear
We did, we made it very
that they
clear.
are very aware of what's going on now.
And I will say Renee did a lot of good work putting this grant proposal together, and we did run some of it by Mike, and we had a very good facilitator to help us put this together, so.
Okay,
Would you
so,
like to say something?
well, I just wanted to give you some background on it because that's, it kind of happened, it seems like it happened very quickly, but in fact it did not. This started way back in May. And I, at that time, I'll just read it from here, a number of things came together. It was just because everything comes together at one point for better or worse. At one point, the town council had talked about the best way to handle the business park was to wait and see who demonstrated an interest, which was an approach we had been using for the past 35 years. Another thing that was going on was the town had decided to move the transfer station to the business park. We were also hearing about federal and state funds that would be becoming available because of pandemic. And finally, and this is probably what got me really started, was that I happened to be at a virtual meeting where Stephen Pryor, the head of Rhode Island Commerce Rhode Island, happened to mention that Tiverton Business Park was on a list of high priority projects. And that he was well aware of the Tiverton Business Park. So with all those pieces of information rumbling around in my head, I thought maybe we should start looking at some of this money and see if it made sense for us to go after some of it. What I learned was that it was very hard to get money because most of these grants were looking for things that were shovel-ready, that a grant had to be all ready to be developed, or the business park had already to be developed, and we clearly were not at that point. And so, for example, but then there was a grant that caught my attention, was a $40 million grant that spoke about infrastructure. It was supposed to be dispersed sometime in the summer, but then it kept getting pushed back and pushed back. So meanwhile, I kept calling different people. So I talked to John Riondo from Commerce Rhode Island, and I talked to numerous other people from state and federal agencies, such as the Quonset Development Center, group, a woman named Deborah Bevan from Federal Commerce Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Foundation, Smart Growth Rhode Island. And all this time, I was also reaching out to our contacts at Connect Greater Newport and the Greater Newport Chamber of Commerce. I even made several appointments with Sarah Stearns from the Tiverton Wastewater District to get a better understanding of what exactly the infrastructure issue was. So this was all going on May, June, July. As I spoke to people and reviewed the possible grants and learned that a lot of them were for shovel-ready projects, I also looked at what the town had done in the past, and we had not really done anything to review in terms of reviewing the development of the park since 2012, 2011. So that was the last time we had really looked at anything. And we have had other businesses come in, so we needed to start looking, I thought, again, at what we had, what was already in the park, and what we needed to move this along, and especially since I kept hearing that the state was aware of this area. We were one of, I want to say at one point I heard we were one of 7 towns that still had industrial property. So it's rumbling around upstate, so we might as well sort of start looking at this. So then, okay. So this October, I heard about a grant that seemed to be exactly what we needed. The grant was going to be coming through Commerce RI, and the funds specifically allowed to be used for planning, to actually do the planning of the park, not shovel-ready development. Mike Burk was aware of this. He felt it was worth looking into. And again, I reached out to our consultants at the Greater Newport Chamber of Commerce and Connect Greater Newport, and basically started writing the grant. So I went through the comprehensive plan. I outlined what we had from the comprehensive plan. I looked at a number of factors that I looked at the old development plan. I looked at what I thought we needed. I thought, I talked to Sarah Stearns and talked about, sewers and whatever, and basically just started writing this grant. And then presented it, gave it to people and said, I've reached the part of it is not in my wheelhouse. I do not know how to estimate soil erosion plans. So that's where I said, guys.
Nobody does. That's all right.
Well, that's, like I said, that was not in my wheelhouse. But thankfully, and I'm going to put a plug in here for the people that are Connect Greater Newport and Chamber of Commerce, because I know you pay for them, but I'm telling you, they did a great job. I was able to turn over my portion of the grant to Rich Overmoyer, who is is a consultant for Connect Greater Newport, but also works with development in Pittsburgh and all over the United States, and he literally was able to just bing, 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 put in the estimates. You all should have a copy of this grant. I think I sent it to people. So he was the one who filled in.
Oh, yes, that's this.
Yes, yes. It was 49 pages. I know Joan had a problem the first time, but she got it. I had a problem sending it, but anyway. So he was the one who was able to fill in all the real technical stuff, and it came together very easily. It came together, not easily, it came together well. People reviewed it. Chris Cotta reviewed it, helped out. You did, the letter, we wrote letters of support, and literally it went in on December 7th. So that's the process. That's where we're at. I'm well aware of the issue that's coming up. So now we wait. Should the grant be awarded, plans would go forward for a complete review of the business park and a new feasibility study. I thought this would be important to the town because it could be, we don't know what's going to happen with anything that's before you. But it would give the town a real firm understanding of what their asset is. and what we could do in terms of sending out RFPs for other developers or just to know what we have. If you look at the area there, what was done in 2012 is not really, it's not what we need. We need some more information. The lots are small, things have changed, and I think the town deserves a good look at this. This is an asset of ours. If you look at the grant, you'll find out that we are in one of the really best spots for any kind of development. We are, the town is talking, the state is talking about the blue economy. The blue economy has anything to do with water. We can't get much closer in terms of, like, we're right between New Bedford, we're right up from Portsmouth, the Navy, there's a lot of things that can be done, and I think the town deserves a good look at this asset, and that was the whole meaning, that was the whole rationale behind doing this grant. No matter what happens, this information could be critical to any kind of negotiations you have, because you will know what you have and what you can do and what you may or may not want to do. So I think it's an important thing, and that's kind of why I went along with it. So I just wanted to fill you in. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Renee, I want to thank you for all your hard work. This could not have been easy.
Well, like I said, there was parts that came fine, and then there were parts that were definitely not in my wheelhouse. But again, I will say that Connect Greater Newport was incredibly helpful. They are a valuable asset. I have no problem calling them up, emailing them anytime, and they will find out the answer that you need. So they're well worth the money we've spent for them.
Burk, did you want to?
Yeah, I want to thank you too, Renee, and commend you, not just for this, but for how you have taken the Economic Development Commission and have really helped move it forward and make it a spotlight for the town, and you're truly have become an ambassador for our businesses and an ambassador to us with the Chamber, with Commerce, with other state agencies. And I would, given my career in state government, I would disagree with the solicitor, previous solicitor, not this one.
Like, look, did you?
That if we were to have to turn this away at the last minute, these are competitive bidding processes, and you have a score sheet that you have to follow. So unless on that score sheet it says, well, did this applicant ever turn away a grant, they can't take that in consideration in the score sheet. So I appreciate that. And I also think this underscores the importance of us, and I know when you give your budget to Chris, it's going to be a much higher budget than the last time of $500. But that's because we're shifting, the intent is to shift the cost of the memberships of the Chamber and Connect Greater Newport from the council contingency to the right place that it should be, which is economic development. And I think this shows the value of those commitments that we made with them, the investment that we made with them. I mean, this is the work that they did for us, I'm going to guess is at least a few $1,000s worth of work on top of the work that you did. But I think it really shows the importance of us being connected on an ongoing basis to those two organizations.
Yeah, I think they were, they're definitely a resource for us. So the grant, the turnaround is easily about 60 days. We did apply for the full amount, which was $125,000. We don't know if we're going to get it and what we're going to get. So this may all be just, an exercise for me in terms of how to do a grant.
It's good practice, right?
It's very good practice. And just as I wind up, I want to, since you're talking about other businesses, I hope you're all going to take a moment or a time and go down to visit Tiverton Four Corners. They are having their winter festivals. So they have a re-tree event that they're doing, which they have recycled trees. So people, there are I think 13, you can vote. You get a little thing like this, and you can go cut it out and vote on your favorite recycled tree. The vendors down there.
That's this weekend.
It started on the 3rd, and it goes through the 17th. So that's this week.
Okay.
So it ends.
It ends.
Yeah, it ends this weekend, and I'm sorry.
It ends Friday.
Friday.
So
So
I
definitely,
went there like 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yes.
They have the trees out.
the trees are out, yeah, the trees, they
I
started.
saw you right before I went down.
Yeah, the trees are out. They've done a lot of work. I'm always impressed with the work that this group does. I wish we could just sort of pick them up and move them around town because they really do a lot of good work. And that's it.
Thank you, Renee.
Okay.
Thank you, Renee.
Your pocketbook. Don't forget your purse.
All right, Councilor Edwards, discussion, possible vote to create a resolution for renewable energy ordinance advisory subcommittee. So you all have Jay's proposal in front of you. Jay, would you like to say something, or do you want us to?
No, there's nothing here that I didn't try to say at the meeting at the high school and had to defer it to tonight. I
Mike.
just think it's an important enough issue that we need to back off a little bit, gather our resources, establish a working group, subcommittee, whatever you care to call it, staff it with interested and knowledgeable people, give it a deadline for completion. I think part of that process should also include writing something to be included in the comprehensive plan so they dovetail with each other properly and get it done.
I just have a couple of comments. First of all, the makeup of the plan of the group, I would like 2 council members.
Oh, well, okay. Let's talk
Because-
about that. I'm
Because he's gonna
entirely
write the
open.
yeah, because he's gonna write the, Mike
Yeah.
is great.
So you guys are going to decide how you want to make up, what the committee
Yeah.
was going to look at? We'll write a resolution.
Right,
What to look
so
at,
that's what-
which will specify the charge of the committee. and then
So
we'll
my
vote.
opinion is 2 council members.
I'm open to anything.
2 planning board members is fine, 1 or 2 is fine. 1 EDC member is fine.
Did you say EDC?
EDC,
Yes.
yep.
3 members of the general public. I know there's quite a few general public interested. I don't have a problem increasing that to 4.
4's fine. I just don't want everything to get too
Right.
unwieldy or it won't get anything done.
I would just like to have different groups, and if you do 4, you might be able, I actually know 4 people already interested, and I'm sure, yeah. So, and Joe will advertise for that once we get the resolution, but I don't think there's any, this is just my opinion, and you guys don't have to agree with me.
I'm just wondering, like, why do you feel, and I'm not criticizing, just why do you want to have, like, 2 planning, 2 council?
Because I always think it's better to not just have 1 counselor and 1 planning. You really only get the opinion of that counselor.
Okay.
And if you have another counselor there,
You can kind of
you can
go
kind
off
of,
each other?
and the same thing with the planning.
Okay.
So that there's 2 counselors, and it's usually, 2 counselors have different opinions sometimes, or similar, but at least you can have 2 council opinions there. 1 EDC is fine. And the other concern, and I don't want this to put off the solar ordinance. We've been holding off the solar ordinance for many, many years now, I feel like anyway. I would like one of the priorities of this committee is to look into the solar ordinance.
That's the purpose of the
Well,
whole
it
thing.
doesn't really say that though.
Well-
It's renewable energy, it's.
Oh, well,
Right.
okay. So to clear
So
that
you know
up,
what I mean? I know what the discussion was at the auditorium, I wasn't there, but I watched it. I just want this group to make their priority the solar ordinance. And also talk about renewable energy and work that into whatever you decide. But I think that that should be a priority of this group.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
well, I agree. I just wanted to change the ordinance to not the solar ordinance, to be called the renewable energy ordinance.
I think if you do that, it's gonna get complicated. I think you need to have a solar ordinance, a wind ordinance, any other renewable energy you're thinking about. But I think that they're very different things, and you might want them in different areas, might want different rules with them. And I don't want this to stall the solar ordinance, because I think there's a lot of opinions out there. I'm open to hear all of them. But I think we've been talking about this long enough, and we need to decide on the solar ordinance. Not the one that we have now, I totally agree. We need to revamp that completely. We need to, and I have to tell you, there's a few members of the public that have called me. They're very educated in solar, very educated in renewable energy. They're willing to do the work of research, and so are you, I know that. And of course, you'll be one of the council members, because I feel that you've been very dedicated to this, and I don't know how the others feel, but I think that you should be one of the members. But I really think that we should make a priority to rethink the solar ordinance. I'm not saying it to be what it is, I don't want anybody to get angry, but I think we need some kind of solar ordinance, whatever it is. Mike?
A couple things. I would agree with a change in the makeup as you described. I actually don't think I can support it if it is broader than a solar ordinance, because that's what brought us to the table. I do think renewable energy is a much more complicated topic.
It's too broad.
And broad, yes. And it will not get done. We won't have an outcome soon enough. I also think we need to develop a timeline for this. And, I know folks are saying, don't rush, don't rush, don't rush. Well, there is a lot of research out there, and there is a lot of good stuff that has been done by other towns. I actually have some information that was just shared with me from Warwick. I haven't looked at it, but I will share that later. Not later, but I have it in an email. I agree that we probably have to make some minor adjustment to the comprehensive plan, but that should be focused on what we need to do for solar. If at some later point this council or some other council wants to take on a broader approach to a zoning ordinance related, or a broader plan related to renewable energy, that's great. And I think we have to remember that this is a zoning ordinance. It's not about things like community aggregation of power. A zoning ordinance is about what any of us here who own property can do or cannot do on our property. It's not necessarily about what we put on top of this building, although certainly that would have to be considered. And I also want to make, my desire is that we make sure that whatever comes out of this recognizes that we can't rely on citing things in the more urban areas of town only. So that's all.
Well, I agree. We definitely need a drop dead date and a completion date. Absolutely, because we don't want it to drag. And the only reason I mentioned working at, it's not a change to the comp plan, it's an addition. I have heard, and maybe Mike can clarify this, your ordinance needs to be supported by the comprehensive plan.
But Mike, your opinion about that is we may not have to change the comp plan? Have I heard you say that?
You can certainly, I think that if we can draft an ordinance, there was some discussion amongst members of the public at that meeting that we need to change our comprehensive plan first. I don't agree with that. It could happen. You could do it that way if you wanted to, but the planner and I will also.
They said they wanted it in conjunction.
Well, it's tough to do it in conjunction because you've got to, because the comprehensive plan, once it's drafted or changes, it has to be approved by the state planning office.
Oh, well.
And until it's approved by the state planning office, you actually, the statute says you go under the current plan that's in place anyway, so.
So write the ordinance first and then see if we have to make changes in the comp.
Yeah, I would try to draft the ordinance in compliance with the comprehensive plan right now.
Right, so it might have to be changed. But
So, once you send it to the state, how long does that take?
Forever sometimes.
Like months and months and months?
Yeah, they were upset it didn't go with the
So
comprehensive.
work on the ordinance and think about the plan.
Well, I think we can draft an ordinance, that takes into some of the points of the comprehensive plan, like, historic preservation and those kind of issues.
because that's part of the comp plan.
Right, and so we can,
course, would like.
We can work it into that, so that we can make a good case that it is in compliance with the comprehensive plan.
I agree, because every time you get some new technology in town, it's not in the comp plan, we have to go back and change the comp plan if it's microwave dishes.
Well, my experience with it is you can write an ordinance that adhere to the comp plan by, like you say.
I agree.
The historical part of it.
The current plan we have
The
now,
current
yes.
plan.
Even though the plan, yes, it is lacking very specific things about renewable energy, absolutely, I'm not gonna deny that. But there are general principles that are outlined in the comprehensive plan, I think that we could fit with the ordinance, like preservation of open space, farmland, those kind of things.
All those kind of things.
We might say that the solar ordinance, can't be used in fertile fields, whatever to do. I don't know.
Okay.
So whatever.
You're not a farmer, are you?
I'm not a farmer. I do have a tractor though.
So I kind of agree with Mike, it should be a solar, I do agree with Mike. That solar ordinance should be the first thing. Now, that's not to say that once the solar ordinance is done, and you come back and say, now can we have a renewable energy working group to talk about other renewable energies? But I think right now, this all developed because of our solar ordinance, because of the controversy that surrounds this ordinance, and I think it'd be best for the town and everyone if we wrote a solar ordinance that everybody can live with. And then it won't be something, because let me tell you, I've talked solar ordinances for about 5 years now. And and it's not that I want to rush into it, but I think to make everyone happy, we should have one. And it's not gonna make everyone totally happy, but everyone is willing to compromise and try to get this done.
And don't forget, you did have way before my time, but you did have a solar ordinance that
Yes, we
was
did.
passed, and it was so controversial, it was repealed. So we had two projects that were vested under those ordinance, and then, three? Three? I'm only aware of two, but two that I was involved in.
One was withdrawn and then break.
Well, there was one original one, and then we did a moratorium after the original one. Yes, we did. We passed it. We passed it, and then there was so much controversy. Now that I look into this, it wasn't the best ordinance, we will admit it, but at the time, everyone wanted it.
But it was okay at the time.
Right, everyone wanted it. It was approved by the planning board, but then, once it started, we started to act upon it. We noticed so many flaws in it. Which happens a lot with different projects. So what's been discussed is that we call it the solar ordinance working group.
It's going to be advisory only, correct?
Advisory only.
So that way, they have to comply with the open meetings law, but they don't have to post the minutes on
Right.
that.
We're going to produce an ordinance that we will present.
Right. They can't pass an ordinance anyway.
And does everyone agree, 2 council members, 2 planning board members?
There's nothing for an advisory group that conflicts with the provisions of the charter around council members being on.
Oh, you've had advisory
I know,
committees before.
I'm
No.
just asking.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Can I suggest on that?
Of
Is that
course.
the language should probably include, if we're, for the solicitor, the planner, I don't know if the town administrator, if we want, but it be explicit to non-voting ex officio members?
Would be advisory, yeah, that's fine.
It says the planning solicitor to be advisory members
Advisory
only.
only.
I understand that, but we
Is that what
got
you-
into an issue
You're right.
before.
So do you
I
like the
think
way it's
explicit-
written? No.
I would suggest explicitly non-voting ex
Okay.
officio.
All right, I get it. Deadline for completion. What do you think? 4 months, 6 months?
Don't forget, I just gave you a time frame, so it's deadline for the completion to get it to you.
Right.
Right,
And then once you get it,
but
There's
that,
more time.
right.
there's more time, so you're talking,
How about,
I would say maybe the middle of April.
April 30th?
I know,
So
but
that's 3
it's
months.
budget season
That's
too.
3.5
Should be
months.
interesting.
Or no later than May, or wait a minute.
I would like April. I like April. They have January, February, and March. So April 1st, that's 3 months.
That goes right into budget.
That's-
That's like right,
Yeah, but they won't have anything to
Yeah,
do
they
with
don't
that.
have
I
anything
think
to
they'll
do
be
with
fine.
Okay, I'll put it this way, no later than the end of April.
Well, I'm gonna draft a resolution, you can change it when you get there.
Right, and remember, we won't get to this till January 10th.
April 4th?
Yeah, I like, okay, so let's
right?
call it,
January 10th, yeah.
yeah, we January 10th, so,
Dovetail it with a meeting.
so let's say the last meeting in April. Is that good? Is that good? Okay.
Is that
And then, of course, I mean,
April 25th?
What was the schedule of,
Now, are we
April
gonna-
25th.
Are we going to produce, and, like updates during the course of this? or
If you
just-
would like.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so if, we would, I would love updates, but you might not be prepared for them. So anytime you want to get on the agenda to give us some updates, that would be appreciated. And just contact me or Joan and we'll get you on.
Everybody could be thinking about where we are at the moment.
Yes. All right, and what else do we need?
Can I just add something? So
Yes.
the resolution is going to be passed in January,
January 10 th,
and
probably.
then you're going to have to post to get people on it, right?
Right.
Unless you have, so unless you want to, I don't know, I mean, it seems like more delay that way, so.
Could we do the resolution and advertise at the same time?
Yeah, but you still have to advertise them.
Could you do the resolution? and
Advertise
it?
now.
Advertise now.
Well, I mean, I guess, if you have a, yes,
Yeah,
I know, it's, you really
well,
don't
we're
have.
gonna vote
you
on
don't have
whether or
a
not we
formal, but If there's a
agree.
general consensus, everyone agrees, I guess you could,
Well, you're
seeking
out
applications for potential
for potential.
Yeah.
yeah.
appointment to an advisory committee, to be
And
determined
we're
in
still not going to
January.
appoint until we have a meeting anyway,
right.
so.
To get the process rolling.
I have an idea that in this particular instance, the volunteers will not be thin on the ground.
So do you want to say 4 members or 3 members of the general public?
More than 4.
So 4 is okay with everyone?
Yeah, 4's
Okay.
fine.
Can we say up to 4,
to 4.
just in case
Yeah,
we
you're right.
run into, I know,
What?
up to 4.
Oh.
Because in some
As
other
many
ones,
as-
we had a hard time getting people, I'm not saying
Right.
this
I don't
one.
think it's gonna
We probably won't have a hard
We're
time,
not
but
gonna have a hard
it
time.
ran
It should be by
into
email.
challenges. We couldn't move forward because of it.
No, we're not going to have a hard time,
I
but
don't
we
think
need to be very careful on who we choose and,
There's a lot of interest. I've gotten
There
a
is a
lot of
lot.
emails, as we all have, and
okay.
there's a lot
All
of
right,
interest.
so does everyone agree with what we've talked about so far? Okay. So we can vote for you for the solicitor to write the solo ordinance and present it at our next meeting. Is that okay with all of you?
The
Right, the solar-
ordinance
Working group. Oh, my God. My phone would be stopped ringing after that one. Okay, solo ordinance working group. So for him to go forth,
Advisory group, right?
right, and write the ordinance. And then,
Write the resolution.
Write the resolution.
You said the ordinance, for the working group to write the ordinance. Got it, sorry.
I know what I'm talking about. Right, it's the solo ordinance working group, the resolution for that, okay? Is that good? All right.
So moved.
And then can we put in the motion at the same time we advertise?
And we simultaneously advertise for the general public members if the council approves the working group at the next meeting. Does that make sense? Michael, did I say that? Yes, okay.
So Mike, make the motion, I presume? Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give Jay the motion.
Okay, Jay made the motion,
Oh, I did? What did I say?
You're going to create it, and we're going to advertise.
okay? All right, so I have a motion and a second. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. I'm sorry, Bill, I couldn't see you. Is that good, Mike? Okay. Councilor Cook, discussion and possible vote regarding 2 Broadway. Yeah.
Okay, at the town council meeting on 12/6, I was requested as liaison to this commission to put this on the agenda for discussion. One was that the members would like a survey of Two Rod Way due to boulders on the side of the road, making the road narrower. What is the true measurement? And would also like to pursue proper signage to delineate the right-of-way. I understand that the CRMC pays for either the sign and we put up the pole, or if I got that in the wrong order, the CRMC would pay.
They already have the signs, we just need to get it from them, and then when we would have to.
Yeah,
What will the sign say?
CRMC already has signs,
yeah,
so I believe that,
right-of-way.
that small group approached them about those signs, and they already have signs that's
Right.
CRMC.
Yeah.
So what are you requesting?
Well, I have information that was added probably, is it from you, Joan? Did you add the information?
That was from the town administrator.
Oh, okay, thanks, Chris. It looks like a survey was done, but I wouldn't know how that works out because there's boulders there. I don't know how far.
So since this, actually, one of the clerks in the clerk's office did the title search for the Audubon Society's property that they currently own. This, the title shows there's a right-of-way through it. So I contacted Jeff Willis from CRMC to find out, there were a couple things. We had, while I was away, had done some maintenance work on the road. So I wanted to make sure that we get a maintenance assent to deal with anything as it relates to that road. So he is now in touch with the Department of Public Works to ensure that we get a maintenance assent similar to what we do with Fogland. And any other property that they want us to put these signs on, before we dig any hole in the ground, we need a maintenance assent to actually put the signs in, because we can't dig on somebody else's property without an assent from CRMC.
So this is from the Audubon, you're saying?
No, this is from CRMC.
CRMC.
So when I talked to Jeff Willis, while this deed is clear that there's a right-of-way, CRMC had done a very extensive research before this deed was ever conveyed on the right-of-way, and they are drafting, getting that information to me. There's much more specific about the right-of-way, about the delineation of this 33 feet long. It comes from Sepauwett Ave, it goes to the water. And I know there is some, discussion about rocks that are in the water. There are rocks along the road. I want CRMC to come out and work with our DPW to ascertain what we can and cannot do, what we should and should not do, so that we are not, doing something that's improper, and that we want to, I don't want to be back what happened with the Anacorca Bridge. There was a consent judgment that all that had to be ripped out. So I want to make sure that if there's a right-of-way there, that it comports with what CRMC says it does and what the deed says it does. We'll have both legal teams take a look at it. When CRMC is done with their final research, I'll have Mike take a look at it. And then we'll enter in some sort of maintenance agreement to ensure that we can make that so it's proper for people to have access to it. And again, I know that this is a bone of contention from some property owners down there, and I will say, from my vantage point, I do think it was a lack of being monitored. It was a lack of being overgrown. It was a sight unseen. It was during COVID. Nobody was looking at it. We now have police presence in the area quite often. DPW is checking on that property regularly to pick up the trash. And there is, from what Jeff Willis told me from their research, there is a boat ramp where those two boulders are in the water. I will consider talking to him about trying to get an assent to move those boulders so people can actually utilize it as it should have been. I don't know how those boulders got there in the water. I don't know how that happened, but we'll work with CRMC to make sure that we can do this.
Yeah, I mean, we have some type of equipment that no one noticed any equipment moving the boulders. I don't know.
We are on a progression to try to get, and we'll bring the neighbors involved too to make sure they're not excluded from this process. But I think we've come a long way from where we were in trying to clean the property up, have it monitored more, and to make it accessible.
So, Chris, I'm going to throw a slight curveball in this.
Yep.
And this came up at one of the Recreation Commission meetings because there was some, not disagreement, there was some trying to figure out on Fogland, which part was Open Space Commission responsibility, which part was Recreation Commission. So believe it or not, town areas and responsible commissions governed by this article include, under the Recreation Commission, I won't read all of them,
No,
at the
yeah.
bottom, all public rights of way to coastal waters, including but not limited to State Street and Jack's Island beach access. Now, Stu doesn't understand why those fall under the
I
Recreation
know.
Commission, but we probably have to bring the Recreation Commission into this discussion.
I'm sure we will, and I will say that recreation and open space, from at least my short tenure here, have worked very well together
Right.
to ensure that, they're not stepping on one another's toes. I know that they moved some boulders down at Fogland to do the picnic
Yeah,
tables, and they need to be put
And
back.
my reason
but-
for bringing that up.
No, I get that, but this,
is that this doesn't fall under the Harbor Commission.
The only reason why Harbor's looking at it, and I'll be frank about it, that they're doing a very good job of being deliberative of trying to put the harbor management plan together, and in that, they are identifying the access points. That's the only reason why they're looking at it. They don't have jurisdiction over it. And I think they recognize that, but I think they want to be able to tout in their plan wherever there is an access point, that it is noted so people can know where to find it.
Right, but I think these suggestions should be brought by the Harbor Commission to the Recreation Commission first.
I believe you're correct. But, we are trying to, it seems like it's been something that's been laying dormant for a long time. Nobody's looked at it. It's had some issues. And I agree the neighbors have had a terrible time down there with some of the trash and some of the element. We are trying to clean all that up and try to have more presence in the area so that people can properly access it.
So there is a boat ramp?
So it's, like you could drive, no, well, you can't, but it's, apparently people would drive there and put their canoes in, their kayaks in, or it's not like a real big boat ramp, it's for little handheld kind of issues. But there are two big boulders in the area that shouldn't be there. but-
So are the boulders in the water or
Yeah,
on
they're in
that
the water.
road?
No, they're in the water.
Depending on the top.
It's almost like somebody put them in to block people from using it, but we'll work with CRMC to get them moved. It's,
Somebody went in with a
They're
big
pretty big,
truck
like
or
you
something,
can't pick
right?
them. I don't know.
No, you can't pick 'em up,
Nobody
Donna.
sees anything.
no, you're right, nobody
It's
sees it.
amazing.
So, but there is a
I mean,
concerted
in order
effort.
to get the boulders in there was quite the thing.
Now, there are a lot of farmers down there that have equipment, so.
From a boat.
Well, there's a lot of trash down there that I can't imagine people putting down there.
I know,
and not getting
that's-
caught doing it.
It's all a work in progress.
Okay, is that okay, Donna?
Yes, thank you.
Town administrator update regarding union contract negotiations. Fire and Teamsters, correct?
Fire Teamsters and ASME, I know we have a letter from
ASME.
IAFF. Yeah, ASME will be up this year as well. So in there, they have both intimated that they want to get started as well beyond IAFF. So I did reach out to Tim. I will contact the union because there was a 10-day window that I kind of missed. It's a administrative issue that it won't affect the negotiations, but I will definitely get something back to them that we will start the first of the year. So at one of your meetings in January, we need to, have your negotiating team come on board to start this process.
Now, is it all right with the council that the negotiation team continues to be me and Donna with Jay?
I'm good.
Is that okay with everyone?
Did I miss something?
You're still negotiating for
You
it.
still want to negiate with all of them?
All right.
And I've talked to Jay, and he still
I'm
wants,
the silent
he
member.
wants to be the silent partner. And so it'll be me, Donna, and Jay.
I won't be silent.
Learning exercise.
Well, I'm very seldom
Well, he's
ever
the chief
silent, so you
negotiator,
can't
I
put
mean.
me as a silent member ever. And I think it was a learning responsibility for Jay. He enjoyed it. You do learn a lot about the different organizations when you're part of the negotiation team.
Okay, I just wanted you to be aware that it's going to be starting soon.
Town administrator.
So, Winterberry Woods, so this is a topic of discussion that came about through the planning board, noticing that they had not formally filed their homeowners association for that development, that the original developer walked away from it. and we gave them 6 months, I think, last year to get started. They did a...
June 1st. It was-
Yeah, we did, and I gave them an extension because they did start the process, they formalized the committee. They have now subsequently filed everything with the Secretary of State. They have a board, they actually have a contractor on board to come in and do the work that needs to be done. And I'm at the stage now where we are not going to threaten them of not plowing their roads or picking up their trash.
No.
I think they've done a very good job of getting where they need to be. Rick will continue to monitor with them as far as making sure the stormwater management issues are resolved, and I think that they're very willing and able to do this. Going off and hiring a contractor to get ready to do this is a good sign, good faith, and the fact that they've filed all the paperwork that needs to be done with the Secretary of State is beneficial to them. So I will definitely send them a letter letting them know that we'll continue to work with them.
Accepted the
We have. I believe we already have, but
Yes.
Rick did mention to me today that we should probably double-check this to make sure that it has been accepted.
I think it has, because
But
then the
we will do the
planning
research on it to make sure that... Yeah,
board-
Winterberry.
Yeah, we
No, I think
accept-
it was accepted, it was just contingent upon them completing
Right.
the
Right.
Homeowners Association. So
Right,
yes.
because, yes, because
But
I remember it very
this,
well.
this was the development, I believe, that didn't get plowed when we had snow, right?
No, that was the one up the road here. That was the one up
But
the...
we just want to make sure.
Yeah,
that
we
they get
we will definitely let them know that we will plow.
There's no snow this year, so don't worry about it.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
No, just because you say that, we're going to have a
Yeah,
plan next week.
when I get to 45 inches, they're going to work it.
I'll be calling you.
You know how to drive a plow?
He's going to learn. He's going to learn quick.
You're gonna learn.
All right. So no action from us, really?
No action, just an update.
Okay. Discussion and possible vote to rescind resolution establishing the financial town referendum, FTR, and personnel changes advisory committee adopted on May 10th, 21, and to establish a formal town council subcommittee to advise the full council. Mike, you want to?
Councilor Cook brought up some concerns about the way this was established, the subcommittee that we have. So this formally would remove the resolution, rescind the resolution that established the advisory committee. That would be the first action. And then if that passed, then we would look at a second action to establish a formal town council subcommittee to advise the full council on the same elements that are included in here, which town council further believes with the charter requirements and qualifications for charter mandated positions like that town administrator, director of public works, police and fire chief be reviewed and examined. Determine that there is significant concern in the community regarding operation efficiency of the financial town referendum. So I don't know if we would need a formal resolution or if we could just modify this one.
Just do a
Subcommittee?
Just type and just
It
make a
doesn't even
charge.
need a
Right,
resolution.
yeah. So,
You don't need a resolution to appoint a subcommittee of the council.
so I would
Give a charge.
I would make a motion first to rescind the resolution titled Town of Tiverton Resolution Establishing the Financial Town Referendum, FTR, and Personnel Changes Advisory Committee.
That's a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? This is to rescind. Okay. Donna, did you vote, or? All
I was
those?
just trying to get my head around what's going on here.
So this is just to rescind the other committee that has been established.
This, now,
And now we're going to do the subcommittee.
subcommittee.
The reason is really because we got no volunteers.
Yeah, and we tried for a long time.
Yeah.
You still need Donna's vote, though.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
So
I didn't
what is the
the-
vote on that?
No, I didn't vote on it yet because Donna didn't
Oh,
vote.
okay.
So all those in favor, I had 6 in favor.
To rescind.
Yeah.
To rescind.
Okay, unanimous. Now, the second motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to establish a town council subcommittee, which will advise the town council on recommendations regarding the operation changes, potential changes to the charter, regarding the current operation and efficiency of the financial town referendum, as well as potential changes to the charter regarding the charter's requirements for qualifications for mandated positions like the town administrator, director of public works, police and fire chief, and that this committee also be charged with reviewing the general personnel provisions related to the procedure for hiring town employees as set forth in section 1007A and B of the Town Home Rule Charter, and update those, provide recommendations to the council and updates to all of those accordingly. I would recommend that the following individuals be appointed to this from the council: Councilor Edwards, Councilor Burk, and President deMedeiros as an ex officio voting member, Denise Surratt, the town treasurer, Joan Shabbat, the town clerk, and then as ex officio non-voting members, Mike Marcello, our town solicitor, and Chris Cotter, the town administrator.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Since there's no,
Would there be, so we're not going to have any parties of the public? That's what we're eliminating in this. We're eliminating.
no, well,
We tried.
we tried and nobody ever came forward, so no one ever came forward.
But with this, we're not going to require it, recommend it, solicit it, anything.
No, because we solicited for several months and nobody was interested. So
Okay.
there's really no difference in this committee than the one we just rescinded.
Except you're just clarifying it's a subcommittee of the town council, not a...
Yes, and the meetings are open to the public, they're advertised. Generally, we've been holding them an hour and a half at 5:30, although the next one's going to be a slightly different time if this is passed. Probably prior to the regular council meetings. And we did have Jerry Larkin, the chair of the school committee, attend at least one of them and speak to us.
And just to be clear, the meetings are posted, they have agendas, they have minutes, all of that's publicly available on the website.
But does a subcommittee,
Advisory,
It doesn't have to post the minutes on.
online.
Online.
Well, we post them, I think the clerk posts them on her clerk
Yeah.
base. They could be posted online if you wanted to, it's no big
Yeah.
deal.
It's just not
It's not
required.
required.
all right, so motion's been made in second. All those in favor? Against? 6-1.
Thank you.
Town clerk, discussion and possible vote on approval to advertise request for proposal regarding precinct management consulting services, including revised precinct boundaries and updated street indexes.
Thank you, Madam President. With the 2020 census, the state legislature, the General Assembly, is working on new state Senate and state representative lines. And there was a recent meeting on that. They came to Tiverton for a quick meeting, I think it was last week.
It was last week.
So their timeline is looking like they should have something ready the end of February. And at that time, the clerk's office and the Board of Canvassers have to proceed with realigning the existing precinct lines and also providing an updated street file to the Secretary of State's office to update the central voter registration system. So that file has to be to the Secretary of State by April 15th. We have limited resources, obviously, in the town clerk's office, as well as I'm losing my canvassing clerk at the end of the year. But it is posted, so that's good news. So we would like to go out and look at consulting services that can provide the re-precincting lines as well as the updated street index. So this is just to do the advertising, and then once we we'll see what comes back for proposals, and any of the consulting costs do come out of the elections account. But that was planned for with the budget process.
Okay. Any discussion or questions for Joan? Mike?
indirectly related, I would encourage folks to look at the House and Senate draft maps that are up there. They make significant changes to the boundaries of the House and Senate districts in Tiverton, and potentially, most likely, the way they're written now, will have us lose one Senate seat representing the town of Tiverton.
I'd like to entertain a motion to advertise requests for proposal regarding precinct management consulting services, including revised precinct boundaries and updated street indexes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed executive session. Council President deMedeiros, Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, personnel job performance for the town administrator, Christopher Carter, notice given.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made in second. All those in favor? Donna? No, this is a verbal.
Excuse me?
Donna?
Verbal.
Yes or no?
Oh, that's right.
Roll call.
Okay, yes.
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 We're now in executive session after